Hi, my name is Sheila Willis of Impact Tourism, the developer of the History Check mobile app. Welcome to History Bytes, your dose of Alberta Historical Trivia, brought to you in partnership with Belt Drive Betty Media and the Canadian Motorcycle Tourism Association. You can register to answer the questions for a shot to win prizes, or just take the quiz to satisfy your own brain power. Either way, we're excited to see how much of Alberta's history you really know. And yesterday's question was, how many buildings were there in the Lacombe area in the early 1890s? Were there A, 5, B, 9, or C, 15? And the answer is C, 9. The information from this story came from the summer 1962 edition of Alberta Historical Review and was written by Ray Bagley. He remembers Lacombe as a tiny hamlet with about 25 people living there in a time where there were 9 buildings. He refers to the 90s but not the exact dates. We did find a picture of Nanton Street from 1896 where there were way more than 9 buildings, so it would have been earlier than that, and shows the rapid growth of the community. 2 were stables, a log house that belonged to the Andrew Glass family. Here are some of the buildings and memories that he held about them. The Albion House was a hotel that was a frame building set on wooden blocks. Its location would later become the site of the Lacombe Hotel. It was not licensed at the time, but a keg of beer often found its way into the cellar through a trapdoor in the kitchen. I do believe they call that bootlegging. The post office was out in the middle of Railway Street, just a short distance south and east of the Albion House. While totally unacceptable today, there was a bear chained at the back, and he dug underneath to hibernate. George Jameson and his wife Jeannie owned the only store. It was located just north of the hotel on Railway Street. They lived at the back, and the room above the store was used for local gatherings. Church services were also held there until the log schoolhouse was built in 1894 by Vickerson Slough. The first agricultural fair was held in the schoolhouse yard. Between the hotel and Jameson's store was a small building built by Billy Schmont. In the front he ran a barber shop, and in the back he had a meat shop. There was some question about whether he used the butcher's knife for shaving or the razor for butchering. Harry Coltman's stable was located on the corner of Barnett Avenue and Nanton Street with a corral at the back. It covered the site which would later become McDermott Drug and the Merchants Bank. Dan Gourlay was in the lumber business. His small building on Barnett Avenue was just east of the hardware store. He made coffins for all and sundry as needed. Harness making was done by Billy Elliott, and he had a small place just back of the department store on the corner of Barnett and Nanton Street. The back was the workshop and the front the showroom. Ray Bagley remembers John Fincham erecting a blacksmith shop on Nanton Street. The current Blacksmith Shop Museum, which you can visit today, was built in 1902. It's the oldest operational blacksmith shop in Alberta, where much of the original machinery is still operating. So when you visit Lacombe today, the brick buildings, the beautiful parks, and the murals make it hard to imagine when the area just had 9 buildings. It's an area where history is there for the viewing, particularly in the architecture. And our next question is, the Secord apartments in Edmonton are named for A, Laura Secord, B, Richard Secord, or C, George Secord? Come back to the answer and the story that goes along with it. Then we'll load you up with the next question. Enjoy!